This is a Storm 5 alert.
Good afternoon again. Unfortunately, we do have a new tornado warning that has been issued for our area. It's for Lawrence County. Specifically, the area of circulation is actually right near downtown Lawrenceburg, and this storm is moving more to the northeast than it is to the east. So the warning includes northern portions of Lawrence County, northern portions of Giles County, and southern portions of Murray County. Now, we actually have our Skynet camera pulled up in Lawrenceburg right now, and there's not much. You can see the flag is really whipping around right by that gazebo in the center part there. But we're not seeing a lot of lightning, we're not seeing a lot of rain. This storm is moving really quickly, and we're still very much on the warm side of it from this Skynet camera, 68. The top temperature today is 71, but notice they haven't actually even recorded that much rain. Just about a little over 1/10 of an inch, not even 2/10 of an inch. There are some folks out and about on roadways here, so if you can be that really precious, valuable weather partner for us, if you know someone in the Lawrenceburg area, northern portions of Lawrence County, Heather is moving this camera so we can show you what the sky looks like, because we want to be the ones that show you that from a safe angle versus you trying to observe anything from your own doorstep. This is a look at the sky here. You can see a bit darker off to the left-hand side. That storm is coming in from the west. It's moving at 40 miles per hour, so it's moving at a proper speed here. And there have been some indications that there may be a little bit of damage or potentially some debris flying around in the air. That could be branches, that could be twigs. At this point, this is a radar indicated tornado warning in effect until 4:15 for northern portions of Lawrence County, including downtown Lawrenceburg, which is what this sky camera is showing you. Panning around, just seeing a lot of rain off in the distance. They're not even seeing much lightning from this.
You know, it's hard probably to really tell when you're at home and you're looking at your TV screen, but as I'm looking at this camera up close, the camera's really starting to bob a lot. You can really see the tops of the trees swaying, so the wind is starting to pick up. We notice that the heavy rain is off in the distance, but we're not seeing any of the rotation, no possible tornado from our camera view. Now, does that mean that it's not happening? No, it just means we don't have a visual on it. But, you know, this is a good lesson to folks.
Right.
You don't always have to have a visual to act. We don't want you to actually visually see the tornado coming for you to know, oh, it's time to go get into my safe spot. Just knowing that that tornado warning is issued until 4:15 should be all the things that you need to know. It is time to take your family into your safe spot.
Right, and then, you know, that's one of the unique things to Middle Tennessee and Kentucky versus Kansas, right, versus the plains, is that our topography here, especially down in Lawrence County, over towards Wayne County, portions of Murray County, it's part of what makes it so beautiful, but it also obscures the view because we can't just look out for miles and miles on the horizon. The other thing is that this is likely rain wrapped. So here's a look at what the storm looks like on radar. You can see the red box, that is your tornado warning. So your job, if you are within this warning, is to take your safety precautions. And as soon as we can give you the all clear, we will. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and point out where this box is with this arrow. You see it stretches from just the extreme southern portion of Murray County right around Highway 61. This extends to the east along Highway 31 that's coming out of Giles County, just north of Pulaski, and then back up. So the area of concern for rotation here is on the southwest side of it. We'll zoom in really close. So it's right to the west of Highway 43. It's near Spring Creek, near Crewstown. It's just to the west southwest of Lawrenceburg, south of the Park Grove area. But as I mentioned before, you know, we talk about these storms potentially being rain wrapped. I would absolutely believe that that is the case with this one because of how widespread the rain is. So the area of concern for rotation would be in this territory here, right along Highway 64. That's where we've got a little bit of lightning starting to uptick as well. And then as you extend up to the north of this and to the east, it's a blinding rain, an absolute blinding rain. Not impossible that we may get some small hailstones in this territory. Often the hail is located just to the north of the concern for circulation. And then on the south side of this, again, that darker red indicating very heavy rain. It's also possible that some stronger wind is wrapping around the back side of this. We were talking about this earlier today when Leland and I were working on some storm coverage. Clearly, the area of rotation is our biggest concern, but when you take a look at how the wind exists around a possible tornado, as that wind is getting sucked into the storm, you can sometimes get a really large swath of damaging straight line wind just south of a potential rotation that can be thousands of yards of wind damage. So it's not just paying attention to where that center is, it's if you are in the polygon, right? Then you've got to take those safety precautions. So that means everybody along Highway 64, Everybody along Highway 43, Ethridge down to Lawrenceburg. Also, if you knew someone that was out and about, it's the time when most folks are trying to get home from school, get home from work, get home from life. You want to, oh, go ahead, Heather.
We may have some confirmation that this tornado is actually on the ground. We've got the EMA officials out of Lawrence County saying that we have houses damaged. We've got roofs that are off the house on North Bradley Road and Mount Lebanon Road. Responders en route there working around the storm to get there. So that is within that warned area. So we're going to continue to get that confirmed for you. But what that tells me, what that tells Bree, is that that tornado probably has touched down. And we've had a couple different reports of possibly some debris there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this over to my computer. I know that this is really hard to see with the radar and everything, but I want you to get from this image the cities that this is going to be moving into next. So if you can see on your screen, I'm zooming in tight enough to where we get some street names in this as well. Ethridge, Red Hill Road, over into the city of Flatwoods Road, Ethridge. You are next up. This rotation is moving right for the center there of Ethridge. That would be right along Highway 43. If you're within this area of Ethridge near Indiana Avenue, let's see, Deer Dry Weekly Road. If you're up maybe over towards Campbellville Pike, I need you to go ahead and be in your safe spot right now. You only have, I would say, 1 minute to 2 minutes before this rotation is right on top of you. And at the moment, we have been getting some confirmation from officials that this tornado is possibly on the ground there. Now it's going to be moving towards Three Oaks after Ethridge. If you're in Jonestown, now this would put it over into the Giles County area, but northern portions of Giles County, you've got about 10-15 minutes before it's towards Jonestown, Rich, up towards Spencer Hill. That would be southern portions of Murray County that this rotation is moving towards next. So I'm going to back this up just a bit. Here's where that rotation is. I'm going to move this just a touch and put another rotation marker on it. It looks like the tornado has moved over 64 and it is in between Lawrenceburg and Ethridge right now. Moving over into the Ethridge community, it is about to be over Highway 43. Cannot stress this enough. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If you know anyone in Lawrence County, Giles County that is possibly about to get on the roadways, especially if they are about to get on Highway 43, give them a call. Let them know that they don't need to go anywhere. They need to stay in a sturdy shelter. They need to stay off the roadways as this tornado warning system is moving through. Now, if we put a tracker on where this is going, the storm is moving at about 40 miles per hour. So it is 3:51 right now. It is going to be in the Ethridge community within the next 5 minutes. From there, moving over towards Three Oaks by about 3:59. It'll be moving over into portions of Giles County as we get past the 4 o'clock hour. So again, about 10 minutes away, my folks in Giles County, you've got about 10 minutes to act before it's in your neck of the woods, Bree.
And you know, some other landmarks or key points that may help you kind of assess where this is. Specifically near North Bradley Road is where we're seeing some of this rotation. That's near Dryden Branch Creek. There's a bunch of kind of low-lying areas there that you would want to avoid. We've had some flooding concerns today, but just as reference points for you. Dryden Branch Creek, Brushley Creek. It's not too far away from Mount Lebanon Cemetery as well as Mount Lebanon Church. The track of this is going to take it right across Highway 64 just south of the Deerfield area. That includes Highway 241, Highway 242, Highway 43, just north of David Crockett State Park. Now this would have it continue into northern portions of then Giles County potentially, and then even over towards southern portions of Murray County. So here's a look at it. Just like Heather was saying, it's right here is where the concern for circulation is, and we have confirmed reports of damage to homes from this storm. So we want you to take that seriously. And what that means for you, if you are in this path or you know someone who is, if you're in it, you don't panic. You walk calmly, confidently, and swiftly to the safest place in your home. That is the lowest, most interior room. Sometimes that's a closet. Sometimes you want to think outside the box. It may not be, might just be a small space under your stairs, could be a bathroom. You want to get to that interior space, put your hands over your head, and when we can give you the all clear that we will. If you know someone that was in that area or was potentially traveling, because this is a very busy time on our roadways, call them. Help us be that voice so that they know that there is a dangerous, damage-producing storm in their area. For portions of northern Lawrence County and southern portions of Murray County, you have a few extra precious minutes, maybe toss on some sneakers, turn the volume up really high on your television so when Heather and I can give you the all clear, you can hear it from the other room. But it is more important that you act quickly than you dilly-dally with those other steps. Again, this storm is moving at 40 miles per hour, so it's a quick mover. I want to put a storm track on this and then we'll take it down to street level. If it can hold together, potentially this would be near Interstate 65 around 4:30, 4:45. Puts it into Alexander Springs at 3:58. Puts it into southern Murray County right around 4:30. So again, a real quick mover here. The National Weather Service indicating that it does look like there may be some weakening with this. Again, that's to be transparent with you. That's not to tell you to put your guard down. That the communities of Ethridge are really where this is moving next. So that's the area of main concern. The reason why you're seeing the colors kind of flip around like this is because it's moving between Nashville's radar and Huntsville's radar. So we're getting to look at the storm from two different angles. So taking it down to street level, we're talking Indiana Avenue, South Brace Road, Dry Weekly Road right near Highway 43 as it heads up towards Weber City, Buffalo Road, Brooks Hughes Road, South Brace Road, Three Oaks Road, Freedom Hill Road. Lot of roads in this area, a lot of sort of suburban streets. So really important, like I said, if it's you that's in this position, this is kind of like when you're on an airplane. You secure your oxygen mask first, and then you help those next to you. If this is not you, but you know someone in this area, you help them secure their oxygen mask by letting them know that there is a tornado warning in effect, at least for the next 20 minutes or so. It's set to expire at 4:15 and is about to cross Highway 43.
Well, Bree, I know we are getting closer to 4 o'clock and a lot of people turning News Channel 5 on to learn more about the weather where they are at. So while I don't want to take away from the tornado warning, because it is the most important thing that we're watching here, for folks who are turning us on and just want to get an update from where they're at, let me show you the big picture here. This is zoomed out to show the entire viewing area. I've drawn a yellow line where these storms are. So they're going from northeast down to southwest, and you can see the storms in southern Kentucky, near Albany, Kentucky, down into Wilson County, Murfreesboro, Columbia, and through Lawrence County where we have that tornado warning. They are still rocking and rolling with this line of storms as it continues to push down towards the south and east. If you are on the other side of this yellow line, you are completely in the clear for the rest of the night. One of the best things I feel like Bree said to folks earlier today when we were on Facebook Live and we were doing cut-ins here on News Channel 5 was that once the storms are past you, you're good, and you do not have to have something that wakes you up in the middle of the night tonight like we had to have on last night. So Hopkinsville, Clarksville, if we look over towards Camden, actually even Nashville right now, we're going to go ahead and give the all clear to you. As this quickly continues to push towards the east, there will be more locations that we can say, yes, we are done with the storms. You don't have to worry about them the rest of the night. And as we look at the tornado watch that's in effect right now, that really correlates with where the storms are currently. They're going to continue to knock off counties out of this tornado watch as that line continues to march on. You can see right now Wayne and Lawrence County still under that tornado watch until 7 p.m. But once this line gets through, it's not going to last until 7. They'll cancel it early for you. But as we look over towards those eastern counties, Overton, Fentress, Cumberland, White, Van Buren, you're going to be the last to see those storms. So we'll continue to watch this, Bree, as it continues to push eastward. I do want to zoom in real quickly. Let me go back to our Power of 5 radars really quick. I'm going to take this line off from where we have the all clear, and we'll zoom it back down to where we do have our one tornado warned storm. So if you're just tuning in with us, this tornado warning is out for Giles, Lawrence, and southern portions of Murray County. This would be south of the Columbia area. We do have a camera that's in the Lawrenceburg community where we have had reports now coming in from officials there in Lawrenceburg from their emergency management department. They say this storm and possibly a tornado on the ground has produced damage to homes in that area. Roofs have been damaged. No reports on injuries, thankfully, but we know that this is a strong enough storm that it prompted this tornado warning there. So if we look at the warning currently, it goes until 4:15, and we are getting ready to push right on 4 o'clock. So still about another 15 minutes with this.
Yeah, and we are getting some reports from other media partners in the mid-state region that they have observed a circulation near Ethridge. So again, for folks in the Ethridge area, if you know someone in that area or is traveling to that area or through that area, this is the time to be in a sturdy shelter. Vehicles are not safe during tornadoes. A long time ago, folks thought that going underneath a bridge or parking under an overpass. We now know that that is entirely false. Wind speeds actually maximize in those locations. So your best bet is to pull over, find a sturdy shelter. If you are at your worst possible case and you cannot turn your vehicle off and get into a shelter, you keep your seatbelt fastened, you put that vehicle in park, and you crouch down and you cover your head. You let the vehicle stay on, so if it's got airbags, hopefully those would be deployed if your vehicle were to be damaged by any sort of debris or by any sort of strong storm. It is 3:59 right now, so you are watching News Channel 5 at 4 as we continue with, unfortunately, the coverage of what looks to be a tornado producing damage near the Ethridge area of Lawrence County. Heather, you mentioned earlier, pointing out to folks that there are storms ongoing across the mid-state. Some of us are in the clear and some of us aren't. So while our focus is on Lawrence County, on the tornado-warned storm there that you see right in Ethridge, we're going to take it really tight. We also want to address the other storms that are moving across the area. So here's Ethridge. The report of damage that we got from this storm is Bradley Road. Now, a reminder to you, when we're dealing with a situation with tornadoes, the National Weather Service confirms that by surveying the damage. When they look at what a storm has left behind, they can determine if what caused that damage was wind that was spinning or wind that was blowing in a straight line. So at this point, what we know is that radar is indicating rotation in downtown Ethridge right by Three Oaks down to Weber City. We know that there have been reports of damage on Bradley Road. So what we know from this is that this is a dangerous storm with the potential to cause additional damage. And that's why we want you to go ahead and make the safest choice you can to get into that interior space in the lowest level of your home. Now, I did mention there are other areas that have storms moving across, and I want to walk through that really quickly just to give folks some peace of mind depending on where you are. Like Heather mentioned earlier, the precious all clear is for everybody behind the line. The only folks that have any risk for severe weather are the ones directly underneath this line or out ahead of it, further to the east. And we knew that our southern tier was going to be at an especially high risk this afternoon because the clouds cleared there this afternoon, which allowed some sunshine to poke through, which allowed it to heat up, and heat is fuel for storms. So our southern two tiers of counties, the two southern rows that are closest to the Alabama border, they have the most fuel in place. There's not as much to work with in Kentucky. That being said, it is storming here, so near Tompkinsville, over towards Clinton and Cumberland County, you've got some 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Across Macon County, Clay County, we've got some strong storms there, but not severe. Everything is behaving itself across Wilson County, stretching along I-40 to the east. Noisy down near Murfreesboro, right by that 840 loop, and then stretching south. We're also keeping an eye on this storm that's moving through Murray County, just north of Columbia. And I'm going to go ahead and say, even though there isn't a warning in effect for Murray County or the Columbia area, there's enough in place that let's just go ahead and keep it in an interior. Heather, flip this over. So notice just to the northeast, there's some indication that we may be getting a little bit of rotation starting to develop there. I'm also noticing just to the south and west, this might be contaminated a little bit by this storm, but it looks like we may have a couple areas that are trying to rotate. So we know for sure that the Ethridge community in Lawrence County needs to be in their safe spot. We're also seeing some indications that there may be some strengthening or some spin beginning to develop just northeast of Columbia. Heather put a track on this for me. Thank you, Heather. That puts it into Lively at 413, puts it into Holt's Corner at 421. This portion of the cell, again, remember, there's a whole line of storms, so we're just identifying the problematic spots, puts it into Mount Vernon right around 430. Now, as we head towards 415, that's when the current warning is set to expire that we've got down to the southeast. This real quick picture I wanted to show you is that what is fueling this storm is a really potent cold front. It is juicy and it is spring-like out ahead of it. Upper 60s, near 70s, but look, Murray, Kentucky, even over towards Dyersburg in West Tennessee, it's 54. So once that cold air comes in, it will absolutely shut down your threat for severe weather. We're just not quite there yet.
Right. I do want to mention more coming out of Lawrenceburg, and we've had already reports of homes that are damaged, but we're getting some new damage reports that are coming in. The center of that rotation just moved over the city of Ethridge, and you've heard us say the city of Ethridge multiple times. It is now past you, but what we have gotten from officials there, that numerous trees possibly down within the city. The fire department is reporting some damage in the path through the center of town there, which would track with where that rotation was going through, right over Highway 43. So it looks like we possibly still have this tornado on the ground happening in Lawrence County. Right now, the rotation is getting ready to cross over county lines into Giles County. So what I want to focus on, I'm going to switch this over. You can see here this rotation that I'm focusing on. This would be right on the edge there for folks there in Lawrence County and getting ready to push into Giles. In fact, I think folks in Jonestown, it is going to be over top of you in the next 2 minutes. So if you're in Jonestown Road, if you are near Powder Mill Branch Road, if you're closer towards Anderson Creek Road, Dugout Road, any of them that you see on your screen, this rotation is moving over you now, and it is pushing towards the north and the east pretty quickly. So past Jonestown, next up on the list would be over towards the Spencer Hill area. That puts it into southern Murray County, Southport, and over towards Highway 31. So let me put a quick tracker on this because it's getting ready actually to get out of the current tornado warning and possibly move into areas that are just outside of this. So what you're going to see is me take this tracker and extend it even further out than where this red box is that indicates where the tornado warning goes until we're going to push it all the way into parts of Murray County and even parts of Marshall County, just to give you a better idea of where this is headed. It is 4:04 right now. By 4:16, it's expected to be in Southport, looking to be closer towards Fountain Heights by 4:30. So that's with its current track going outside of the tornado warning. We'll see if they do extend it, but I would say, Bree, at this point, because we continue to get reports of damage out of this, in my opinion, looking at the rotation, it doesn't look like it has weakened much at all. I think that they will continue this tornado warning even as it gets into parts of southern Murray County.
Agreed. And they're also keeping an eye on that storm just north of Columbia. At this point, it is not a warned storm, but I do think it's possible. The National Weather Service actually just continuing the warning for Lawrence County. Now, like Heather, you were just saying, there are reports of tree damage and some limbs down. Those reports are just now starting to come in the Ethridge area. So for folks that are in this area, the worst of it has passed you. That being said, because we are getting reports from emergency management that there's damage, this is not the sign to just go outside and take a look around. No. It's still raining. There is still lightning nearby, so that's a threat. And you don't know what it is you may encounter, if there are potentially some down power lines.
Right.
And it's really important to give the emergency officials with the boots on the ground the space that they need to assess what has happened and if anybody needs any assistance from that. So while we can tell you that the rotation has moved out of Ethridge, it's just to the northeast, I don't want folks in Ethridge to just go about life as usual. Let's give those emergency officials the time that they need. So here is an updated look at that storm. And the National Weather Service went ahead and trimmed that tornado warning down. What I mean by that is that they removed Ethridge, right? Areas west of 43. So the area of concern is kind of near the triple point of where the Lawrence County border meets the Giles County border meets the southern Murray County border. It's almost where the arrow is pointing. That would be the area of greatest concern for rotation. So now, while we still have storms, like I said, through Lawrenceburg, which I'll pop up our camera there, you can see it is positively pouring. Temperatures are starting to drop. That's rain-cooled air. The colder air will continue to filter in behind it. So we still have thunderstorms. We still have lightning as a risk for areas in Lawrence County, right along 64, 63. But the area of concern for rotation is now in this territory. So, like always, we want the folks that are under the gun to take the necessary action, but we also want the folks down the pipeline to embrace that precious gift of time. Okay, so let's zoom in tight and look at who is dealing with the worst of it. You just saw another updated scan there. So at this point, it looks like the rotation is actually right on the border of Lawrence and Giles. It's right in this territory here. So if you are within the red box, right, you need to be taking shelter. If you are just to the northeast of this, so within this territory here from Highway 31, just west of Linville, just south of Mount Pleasant, over towards Highway 43, you're in your safe spot. You're waiting for Heather and I to give you the all clear. Now for folks out ahead of this, so now we're talking Culleoka up to Fountain Heights, we're talking spaces between Highway 31, Highway 65. Whether or not this storm continues to rotate remains to be seen. Like I said earlier today, what it's not going to do is fall apart and just become partly cloudy with mist. It is still going to be a thunderstorm, a strong storm. And so for the folks down the pipeline, even over towards Lewisburg in Marshall County, you have that extra 10, 15 minutes to grab your sneakers, grab a bike helmet, grab a charger, turn the volume up on your television so you can hear us even if you are sheltering in a different place, right? We are streaming on newschannel5.com. We are on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We are on every resource that you can find. So if you have to step away from your TV and you can take a mobile device with you, you can still keep up with this coverage on that mobile device and know when that all clear is given. So at this point, we just want to encourage you to choose the safe option, right? The proactive option. You don't wait until you're under the gun if you've got an extra 10, 15 minutes of time.
I want to talk more about Columbia and what's going on there, because we've mentioned a couple of times there's a couple different spots other than the tornado warn cell that we are watching that has a little bit of some rotation to it. Right now, the rotation has not tightened up enough where they have issued a tornado warning. But as we look at the city of Columbia, we have our live camera view, and I'll tell you, it's pretty hard to see what's going on there because the rain is coming down so hard. And if you are out anywhere near Highway 31, which is where this camera is pointed towards, you can't even see it because the rain is so blinding in this area. That is what you are going to encounter. So hopefully that encourages folks to stay off the roadways while we watch this line coming through Columbia, seeing that blinding rain, that area of rotation getting ready right now to enter parts of Murray County. So for folks who are tuning in to News Channel 5 at 4 o'clock, we have been wall to wall on the air covering a tornado warning happening in parts of Giles, Lawrence, and Murray counties. That tornado warning lasts about 5 more minutes until 4:15. I think it is likely, given the storm that we are looking at, that they may extend that tornado warning out a little bit further with that rotation still there. For folks who are just joining us, this tornado warned storm unfortunately has a history of some damage in Lawrence County. Officials there in Lawrenceburg and in the city of Ethridge confirmed to us that homes are damaged, trees are down. We have property that has been damaged there from Highway 64 all the way through Highway 43. Right now, the center of that storm is set its sights now on 31. So Highway 31 stretching from Columbia down into the Pulaski area is where this rotation will be moving very shortly. As we look at this storm here, I'm going to change it over to our winds so we can point out to you better where we think this possible tornado could still be on the ground. We think it was on the ground all the way through Lawrenceburg. It's possible that that tornado is still touching down in northern portions of Giles County. Now, if you're in the city of Pulaski, this is north of you. This is actually going to go, I believe, just north of Linville. So while you're just on the outskirts of that red box there, let me get a little marker here so I can show you. This red box extends right to the tip of 31, but I think this is going to continue to trek off to the north and east. I think it's going to cover 31 right near the county line there from Giles into Murray County. Eventually, it's going to go just south, I would say, of Fountain Heights, and I would say in the next 30 minutes or so, it's going to be over Interstate 65 as this crosses into parts of Marshall County.
Exactly. So the National Weather Service seeing a lot of, I think, what Heather and I are seeing. The signature on this particular cell is weakening, and they are planning to let that warning expire at 4:15. Good. They've also, some other good news, because it's hard on days like this, you kind of need some good news injected. They've also removed Sumner County, Davidson County, and Lewis County from the tornado watch. So that means Sumner, Davidson, Lewis, all clear. Now, Lawrence County, we are still getting reports of damage, especially in that Ethridge area. So like I said earlier, let those emergency crews do the work that they need to do. That storm, while it has weakened, has not fallen apart completely. And it's something that we're going to keep a really close eye on as it moves to the east, because sometimes these things can spin back up. So regardless of whether or not that warning is expired in 2.5 minutes, I want folks ahead of it to just go ahead and make that safe choice. just be in that interior space, right? I'm a big fan of saying choose what gives you the most peace. And peace is not going outside right now. If you're in northern portions of Giles County, what's left of that is now out of Lawrence County. It's in this circled area just south of Murray County, so right near Linville. If we take a look at the rotation signature, again, it's that red-green that tells us what direction the wind is moving. You still see a contrast, right? And you might be at home looking at this going, oh, Bree, that still looks like red right next to green. It does. But when they're side by side like this, I almost called it like a butterfly wing earlier, what that indicates is a more broad rotation. And so it's not making it down to the ground. It's when it starts to spin up kind of like a yin yang symbol, that's when you're starting to get the indication. So there are some strong winds in the upper levels with this. We're looking likely a mile or so up in the storm here. But at this point, that signature is continuing to weaken. So that warning is set to expire. That being said, what's left of that cell is going to move into southeastern portions of Murray County from Fountain Heights to Culleoka. It's going to cross Interstate 65. It's going to pass Lewisburg. It's going to be right near Highway 31. So this is a storm track of where what's left of this storm is going to go. Linville, it's going to pass just north of you, 415, which is in about 40 seconds. Culleoka, 424. It's going to be near Venable Spring right around 445. And it'll be near Unionville around 5 o'clock. Again, that's what's left of this cell. It is not rotating at this point, but it is a powerful thunderstorm. And those can have their own strong winds with them, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts possible all along the leading edge of this storm. So until we've given you that all clear, we want you to go ahead and hang with us and stay safe. Because that warning has now expired, we do want to get you updated on some of the headlines of the day. It's been a busy day, as it always is in Middle Tennessee and Kentucky. So at this point, we are going to send it over to Carrie and Vicki for an update on some of our headlines of the afternoon. And you know Heather and I have an eagle on it.
We do. Thank you guys very, very much. That tornado warning just ended for parts of our area. As you heard, Bree and Heather still tracking these storms. We'll check in with them just as soon as we need to. But we are following another big story today. We are learning new details about the 2 Tennessee National Guardsmen who died in a tragic helicopter crash.
It all happened yesterday afternoon during a training flight in Alabama. 5 Alert anchor Hunter Hoagland joining us from the newsroom. Hunter, we've just learned their name.